I wanted to walk you through my junk journal January 2024 to show you how I created the junk journal, how I spent my time, and how it drew me closer to God. So I won't tell you on every single page that there's some big God moment, but overall, the 31 days definitely were a little journey for me personally into my history, my walk with God, and understanding God a little bit more. So, like, here's an example. The first prompt was resolutions, and I practice Logos 365, which is a process of spending a lot of time in November and December talking to God about what does He want me to focus on this coming year. And my Logos 365 is like a word that God gives me that I'm focusing on how I'm spending my time, what I'm doing, where I'm going, what are my goals. And my word for 2024 is fresh, interesting, right? And how did I get that? Because Bible verses come to me when I'm reading the Bible, like Ephesians 4:23 was to be made new in the attitude of my mind. And I had some changes, big changes in my life last fall in 23, and I decided that in 24 I wanted to kind of start something new. And so then that verse came up, that was perfect. And then the more I read Ruth 4:15, He will renew your life and sustain you in your old age. And I wrote, I want to live an easier life in 2024, easier and not having so many have tos because I'm retired. Excuse me. Anyway, I looked up fresh, and so it became fresh. And that was what is going to be my focus. And I will tell you, 6 months into it, yes, God keeps opening these doors for my business, Faith Art Design Studio, for my walk with Him. I'm doing the 365-day Bible reading plan with Ascension Press. So a couple things that were kind of interesting to me is, excuse me, this one was throwback. And so I don't know why, but I was searching through all my stuff and I found this box of all these old black and white photos from my family. And I realized that I'm 72. If I were to die, my son's going to come in my house. He's going to be like, I don't know any of these people. He'll probably throw all the pictures away. Now, I know who they are and I know why they're important. So as I was going through that box, I realized, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with these? I need to just put them in a journal because my son would not throw away this journal. He might throw away the pictures, but not the journal. So this is a picture of my grandmother, my grandfather, my dad, and his two brothers, which there was two more children later on. But this is in 1940. Let's see, my dad was born in 32. So this is like probably 1942. And then, this is the coolest thing of all, I found my grandmother's blood donor card. And my grandmother is AB positive. And guess who's AB positive? Me. I didn't even know that she had given me this. So that was really fun to put that in there because now it's preserved. So the throwback was looking at my family, understanding how they influenced me, in a positive way overall. So then, you could go through a lot of these things and just say, it doesn't look like you have any faith in there, Diane, but like, here's an example. So this one was stitch something. And so I stitched this little fabric and I stamped, cast all your care upon Him, 1 Peter 5:7, and put that in there. And then I wrote about what that Bible verse meant. So there's time in God's Word. And then that's memorialized in here. Then the neutral was, yes, it's all neutral fabric and things like that. But here was a verse, Psalm 34:14, depart from evil and do good, seek peace and pursue it. And so that's just my little note in there of what Bible verse I was reading for the day. And of course, while I'm on camera, I'm not going to be able to get it back in there. Okay, then there was an eclectic page. And I did the same thing. I pulled out all those old pictures. And I included my aunt, my grandmother. Look at this picture. 1927, my grandmother, who was born in 1900, at the beach in Atlantic City. Don't you just love those bathing suits? So for me, this was a little bit of a walk. And then this one was garden. And I don't go outside and garden, but I realized I have a garden. And my garden is my children. I have 6 children. I have 3 sons who were born to me, and then I adopted my 3 daughters from Ukraine in 2006. So that's a little bit of that story right there. And then what was a pattern. And so this one, the pattern that I try to focus on is pray without ceasing. And so here's another chance to look that verse up and include it in my journal. Opposites, right? And so this was small flower, large flower was my opposite, but the verse, you are inscribed on the palm of his hand. Psalm Isaiah 49:16. So you'll see, here was another idea about, what was this one? Oh, this was flow. To be so immersed in creating that time passes by without noticing, and ideas flow easily and quickly when I'm in the flow, which I agree with. Whimsical, that's really not about my faith. But okay, here we go again. This was borders. So I created a border around this picture. This is my grandmother and her brother. And this is 1901 because that's my grandmother and she was born in 1900. So for me, this had a lot of family in here. And then look back on being interactive. And so I made this little pouch like this. And this is actually the original copy of the marriage license of my grandmother and, no, my great-grandmother and grandfather. And then I wrote some information. There's some more pictures and stuff like that. So it was kind of like God saying to me, don't forget these people, Diane. They influenced you. They are, you know, part of your life. There's some nature. Here's my grandmother. Again, I included her baby picture in there. And then this one, let's see, what was the prompt for this one? 21. Let's see, I don't know what it was, and I can't see it. Well, anyway, this I think was bookshelf. That's what it was. Anyway, I decided to take a picture of all the journals, the faith art journals that I have, and just write that down and walk through how I spend my time. I've been spending my time this way for 24 years. And that the Lord is my shepherd. My bookshelf is full of my creative faith art journey. Over 100 journals, junk journals, books, tags, projects, and more. I began my faith art journey in 2000. So see, for me, this was walking back through how God prompted me to add my faith and spend time with him as I started creating. So I'm going to be doing this same thing. Here's a texture, and I added lots of textures, and then I added the verse, rejoice always, pray continually. So even if you're only adding Bible verses, you're still spending time with God because you have to figure out what Bible verse you feel like goes with that page, right? Sharing the gift of the good news. Well, the good news is the good news about Jesus Christ. And so I wrote a prayer on there. And then I made, this was translucent, so I made a translucent bag and made it about faith. And I have a verse in there, for we walk by faith, not by sight. And that's in there. So you see how simple it is to really spend time with God and add faith to your journal. So this one was lyrics, and I love this song by David Crowder, God Really Loves Us. I've got a friend closer than a brother. There is no judgment. Oh, how he loves us. He is my strength. He is my portion, with me in the valley, with me in the fire, with me in the storm. So I just found the song that I love to listen to, and then I put a prayer in this little envelope. Grungy was, of course I did this upside down, but that's okay. Added some Bible verses onto this page. Geometric was just some geometric stuff, but then I also added Hebrews 4:16. Let us therefore come boldly to the throne. Travel was day 30, and my most important travel of my entire life was when my pilgrimage trip happened, December of 17 to January of 2018. I was there for 10 days with Connie and John Denninger. And here's just some pictures that I took of my little journal book so I could put it in here. And then I added some words. Remember not to forget, don't live for yourself, live for the gospel. It's God's world. To truly know him, a person's steps are directed by the Lord, Proverbs 20:24, entering the king's presence and gaining perspective. That was what I learned on my pilgrimage trip. And then at the very end, I added, was reflect. God is great, so we do not have to be in control. And as a controlling personality, that's important. And so I just summarized why I enjoyed this. I actually also included this, he is our rest. And this was the first time I've done this, and I was really excited. I would tell you to do the same thing. I actually wrote a little note to my children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren maybe, of why did I create this? Why is it important for them to read this and for them to know who I am? So that's the example that I did for Junk Journal January. Next video, I will be starting to show you when I look at the prompts, how does that prompt get me into God's Word? And then what am I actually finding out? Is it just a prayer maybe? Is it a Bible verse that alights with that and coordinates? So that will be my next video. I hope you'll join us. The links are in the video description.